Good evening, you're watching the news on Croatian television. Agrokor's government-appointed crisis manager presented the concern's consolidated audit report to the public today. Ante Ramljak announced that the PricewaterhouseCoopers auditing company had established that Agrokor's losses exceeded its total capital by almost €2 billion. The report also revealed that the company had falsified its financial reports.
What has been identified is that business results were made to look better than they actually were by not reporting operational and financial expenses. Profits were increased each year by this sum, and dividends were paid out on the basis of those profits. Yes, I have filed criminal charges against the people responsible.
And while the state prosecutor's office did not want to comment on the Agrokor case, former Agrokor owner Ivica Todorić continues to be active on his blog. After the report was presented, he vehemently denied that he had cooked the company's books.
We will make clear the financial acrobatics with which billions were written off at a later date. But what I can say for sure is that not €1 was confiscated or hidden. Ramljak himself confirmed that he is aware of these so-called unlisted items, and that he knows that there exists documentation for these items. Furthermore, the obligations I personally had towards Agrokor were settled in full. Whether or not Ante Ramljak subsequently altered the books will be easy to determine. His claim that there were no basis for dividends is in the spirit of this entire report. All of this is smoke. Not €1 is missing, and Agrokor's debts are well known.
Earlier, Todorić announced plans to file charges against Ramljak, claiming that the crisis management team was feeding the prosecutor's office and anti-corruption office agency false information.
I have information that the government-appointed crisis manager, with the help of the government, is acting above the law. I will also report to the authorities people within Agrokor who have inflicted enormous damage to the concern out of their own interests. These are people who hatched a plan for a massive theft, while the government has installed a wolf to mind the sheep.
Deputy Prime Minister and Economy Minister Martina Dahl today clearly rejected Todorić's assessment of the audit report.
Ivica Todorić and the board clearly knew very well the true state of the company's books. This is something they presented for a long time in a dishonest and deceptive way in order to secure loans and financing, and they continued to do so until it was no longer possible. Therefore, what we've seen today is final and definitive proof of how much the crisis management legislation contributed to preserving the stability of the Croatian economy, because it's obvious that the entire Agrokor concern had been headed for bankruptcy.
Here's how the two leaders of the strongest opposition parties, the SDP and Most, reacted to today's consolidated report.
Obviously, Todorić was not alone in this whole business. He had help from a number of people, and we expect their responsibility to be established. This continues to be a divorce settlement between the HTZ and Todorić, because Todorić very unambiguously accused Mr. Ramljak, and I think that at this time, that is clear to everyone. There isn't one lone scapegoat. As far as the criminal charges filed by Mr. Todorić and Mr. Ramljak, this is something the state prosecutor's office will deal with. But there isn't one scapegoat, because it is obvious that the entire system did not function. Where in everything we saw today is the responsibility of the Financial Services Regulatory Agency, the Ministry of Finance, the Tax Authority, and the Croatian National Bank. These are the real questions.
Prime Minister Andrej Plenković visited the Divulje-based Center for the Coordination, Managing, and Extinguishing of Fires along the coast today. He also attended a meeting analyzing the 27 firefighting season. All of the participants, including the Interior and Defense Ministers, agreed that 2017 was one of the worst on record in terms of wildfires.
The goal of this analysis is to see what we can improve in terms of the legislative framework and documents that are adopted by the government that are aimed at improving preparations for the firefighting season. Second, to see what we can do in terms of improving the coordination of various institutions, specifically in the chain of command, and also to see what kind of steps we can take on the financial side.
Sauerkraut from Varaždin has finally received protected geographical status from the European Commission. This was to have happened 2 years ago. However, Slovenia blocked the process, claiming it to be theirs. In spite of the fact that it is called Varaždin sauerkraut after the northern Croatian town of Varaždin where it is produced, Slovenia laid claim to the food good on the basis that it plants the same variety of cabbage. Meanwhile, Slavonian kulen, a spicy sausage, was also protected as an authentic Croatian product. However, Slovenia will be able to produce it under the same name for a while longer.
Slovenia cannot have sauerkraut called Varaždin sauerkraut. They can only have a differently named sauerkraut with a label indicating it is made from the same variety of cabbage. As far as kulen is concerned, I think that Celje Butchery has been given the right to use the name Slavonski kulen for the next 5 years, just as Croatia was recently given the right to use the name Karniolan sausage from Kranj for the next 15 years.
Taking a quick look at sports, 21-year-old Croatian gymnast Tin Srbić is the new world champion in the men's high bar event after finishing first at the World Gymnastics Championships in Montreal late last night. Epke Zonderland and Bart Derlu of the Netherlands were second and third, respectively.
When I got to the podium and was preparing for my routine, I looked up at the screen to see if the Japanese competitor ahead of me had received his score, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw that Epke Zonderland's first score was 14.233. And I thought to myself, Jesus, with one of your good routines, you can truly achieve this. But I managed to calm myself and I said to myself, just do what you always do during practice. And that's how it turned out.
And now the forecast for tomorrow. Moderate cloud cover with some rain, especially in mountainous regions and on the northern Adriatic, which could see some heavier downpours. There will be some morning fog in the interior. The coast will see a mild to moderate southeasterly. Morning lows of 2 to 7 degrees Celsius inland, 11 to 15 on the Adriatic, will give way to highs of 13 to 18 degrees in the interior, 18 to 23 on the coast. The 3-day forecast calls for more stable weather. Morning fog will give way to relatively sunny skies. Morning lows will be around 10 degrees Celsius, while daily highs will exceed 20 degrees. The coast will see highs of 25 degrees. Predominantly sunny in Dalmatia, while the northern coast will see moderate cloud cover with some intermittent rain, especially in the Rijeka area. And that wraps up the news. Be sure to join us again tomorrow night.